Hello artists! I have another Valentine idea that you could make for someone special this year. It is a combination of two stories, a love monster written by Rachel Bright and color monster written by Anna Yanis. So together we combine them to make a color love monster. So in this video I'm going to show you how you can use simply either construction paper or crayons, or if you do have maybe oil pastels and watercolor, you can create some really awesome things as well with what's called wax resist. So gather your favorite art supplies, what you have with you, and let's make a Valentine's monster. All right, so we're gonna learn a new technique in this video called wax resist. And on this monster, I used oil pastel and watercolor. Oil pastels don't have to be neon. They can be regular, normal colors of the rainbow. But the difference between a crayon and an oil pastel is that what they're made with. Oil pastels are made with oil and pigment, which is color, and they're very soft. They're also very easy to break, which is fine. You can still use them like a normal broken crayon, but they're very soft and they're made with oil. Crayons are made with wax and they're a little bit more tough. Both of these can be used for the technique called wax resist. So for this monster, I used the oil pastel first and then painted watercolor on top. Oil and wax do not get along well with water. So wherever you color with an oil pastel or a crayon will stay permanent, and the watercolor paint will move everywhere else where you didn't color. So that's how I got both of these colors to show up. Now, you can still make one of these Valentine's monsters without using oil pastels or watercolor paint. You can use all of your colors of crayons or even markers or color pencils to still create your own Valentine's monster. So this one was just white construction paper. I used all my favorite crayon colors and then used black crayon to make all of my lines, arms, eyes, the unibrow, everything, and then cut it out. So you can definitely do this. You don't need anything super special, but I am going to show you how you can do wax resist. All right, so let's get our paper going. I'm going to set these aside. And so here I have my paper. I'll turn it horizontal so you can see it better. I will show you what oil pastel looks like. It's just a really big, soft crayon, and because it's made with oil is what makes it softer. So it just is really soft. If you don't press hard with it, the watercolor, there is a chance that the watercolor will just go right on top of it. So the harder you press, the brighter the color, and the better that watercolor will go move around it. So that's with oil pastel, but you can do this with your own regular crayons as well. So I'm just gonna make some marks here. All right, now if you do have watercolors, you don't want to add too many pieces of crayon or crayon colors. You want to leave some paper showing. That way you can still have both of the effect. If you don't have watercolors, this is a great place to skip ahead in the video to where I do start making the monster. Show you how the watercolor works with this wax resist. So you'll need a little cup of water and your watercolor paints. So let me get those ready. And no, I don't really clean my watercolor, but that's okay. So to make watercolor work, we need to put our brush in the water and then pick a color to start with. I personally like to start with my lighter colors first. That way I don't get them all mixed up, because our water will start changing colors. It does get darker with more colors that you use. So once my paintbrush has had water, I mix it with the color I want to use, and then I start painting on top. And I can go back for more water. And at first it doesn't look like it's doing anything, but as you can see, it's starting to kind of dry and it will pull away from all of the crayon. It's really fun. So if you do have this, I highly suggest you giving it a try. It's one of my favorite things to do. If you do this option, you will need to wait and let your paint dry before you make your monster. So if you were able to use your crayons and watercolor together, just pause this video, and when your paper's all dry, come back and finish your monster. I have a piece of paper that I already finished and is all dry. It's okay if your paper starts to curl as it dries. We are going to cut our Valentine's monster out of this paper. Now, I suggest if you used watercolor and crayon to either try and use a colored pencil to make all of your drawings for your monster, or if you have a Sharpie, you could go ahead and draw, I guess, the monster first. I didn't really think about that till now, but that's okay. For our monster, our Valentine's monster, we are going to want it to have like some shaggy fur. It also has ears, unibrow, eyes, it has some sharp teeth. And this one we're gonna make holding a heart. Now you can use extra construction paper for this and cut it out and glue it, or you could simply draw everything all together. Everything works and I think turns out equally as awesome. I love both of them. To make the shape of our monster, I like to start at the top, so that way I have room for the ears and the top part of the head, and that kind of gives me an idea of how big I can make it. So here's the top of my paper. I'm going to start with a triangle, and I'm pressing pretty hard with my color pencil so it shows up better. And remember, these monsters are kind of furry. We're using triangles here to help communicate that this little Valentine's monster has fur. So these don't have to be like perfect or exactly the same. Finish with my other triangle ear here. So here I've got the top of my head, I've got my two ears, and I've got some triangles up there for the fur. So let's work our way down. And this is where you can kind of decide how furry you want it to be, but remember, we are going to cut these out. So you don't want to make this too difficult for you to cut out. And both sides, they don't have to be the same, okay? That you can make them different lengths. So don't worry about them needing to be exactly the same. And let's go ahead and start adding our legs. For your Valentine's Monster legs, I would start by adding some triangles here for fur, and then bring a vertical line down. For your foot, I would like for you to think of maybe just like a little rainbow, and then a straight horizontal line for just a little bit. And we're gonna come back up and make the other side of the leg. And then you can continue adding some fur, and then we're gonna finish with our other leg. If I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video, finish where you're drawing, and hit start again to complete your picture, okay? Don't ever feel like you have to go as fast as me. I just need to make sure I stay within 15 minutes for YouTube. That's why I go a little fast. Okay, so now we have the shape of our monster here. Let's go ahead and add the details for the face. Now, Love Monsters and Color Monsters have really funny, furry unibrows, or eyebrows in general. So if we can go ahead and add ourselves a funny unibrow. A unibrow is where both eyebrows come together and meet as one. And you can kind of have fun with that on your own. Now, let's go ahead and add our smile. And I'm going to turn my paper just to make this a little easier. Don't feel like you have to keep your paper one way. If it works best to draw with your paper at different spots, do that. Sometimes that works best for me too. Now you can see my pencil's getting kind of messy here. It's picking up all the residue. Oil pastels are really thick, so whenever you draw on top of them, you kind of pick up a little bit of the oil pastel. Let's use the letter U for the eyes. Now, for the teeth, you could use separate pieces of construction paper and cut out 2 triangles for teeth and glue them to the mouth, or you could color them in with a different color. So on this one where I only used crayon, I colored them in with a pink crayon, like I pressed really hard and colored that in, and then outlined them with black crayon. I did the same thing for the heart. So you can just color it in with a darker color and it will show up, or I'm just going to draw 2 triangles and leave it at that. I could color them in black if I wanted to, but I think you can tell that those are teeth. So I'm just gonna leave it just like that. Now, on this one, just like the teeth, I cut out a heart from a separate piece of paper and glued it. Then I drew the hands on top. So you could do that. I do have a little heart here. It's kind of big, so I think I might actually cut this down. So maybe if you have like a sticker, like a heart sticker or something at home, you could place that here. Maybe I'll have it going this way and then glue this down really quick. It's always best to let things dry just a little bit, but I'm just gonna hold it in place. So if you don't have time to let something dry, just always hold it so that way it doesn't move around on you. But for the arms, we're just gonna draw a couple of curved lines, and you get to pick, you know, how big and long you want the arms to be. The fingers are just little triangles. Remember, this is just a cartoon. We need to have fun with it, and we're gonna carry that curve right back up. And we're gonna repeat the same actions for the other arm. Just a slight curve. If it helps you think of the smile lines that we use, that's a great idea. Kind of give you that idea to curve your lines. And there we have it. We have our Valentine's Day monsters. So all we have left is to cut it out. Alright, so I finished cutting out my last Valentine's monster, and there you have it. A combination of love monster and color monster together for Valentine's Day.